The third vision of Ezra. Now after this I wept again and fasted 7 days as before, in order to complete the 3 weeks as I had been told. And on the 8th night my heart was troubled within me again, and I began to speak in the presence of the Most High, for my spirit was greatly aroused, and my soul was in distress. I said, O Lord, you spoke at the beginning of creation, and said on the first day, let heaven and earth be made. And your word was an accomplished work. And then the Spirit was hovering, and darkness and silence embraced everything. The sound of a man's voice was not yet there. Then you commanded that a ray of light be brought forth from your treasuries, so that your work might then appear. Again, on the second day, you created the spirit of the firmament, and commanded him to divide and separate the waters, that one part might move upward and the other part remain beneath. On the third day you commanded the waters to be gathered together in the 7th part of the earth. 6 parts you dried up, and kept, so that some of them might be planted and cultivated and be of service before you. For your word went forth, and at once the work was done. For immediately fruit came forth in endless abundance, and of varied appeal to the taste, and flowers of inimitable color, and odors of inexpressible fragrance. These were made on the 3rd day. On the 4th day you commanded the brightness of the sun, the light of the moon, and the arrangement of the stars to come into being, and you commanded them to serve man, who was above to be formed. On the 5th day you commanded the 7th part, where the water had been gathered together, to bring forth living creatures, birds and fishes, and so it was done. The dumb and lifeless water produced living creatures, as it was commanded, that thereafter the nations might declare thy wondrous works. Then you kept in existence 2 living creatures. The name of the one you called Behemoth, and the name of the other Leviathan. And you separated one from the other, for the 7th part where the water had been gathered together could not hold them both. And you gave Behemoth one of the parts which had been dried up on the 3rd day, to live in it, where there are 1,000 mountains. But to Leviathan you have the 7th part, the watery part, and you have kept them to be eaten by whom you wish, and when you wish. On the 6th day you commanded the earth to bring forth before you cattle, beasts, and creeping things, and over these you placed Adam as ruler over all the works of which you had made, and from him we have all come, the people of whom you have chosen. All this I have spoken before you, O Lord, because you have said that it is for us that you created this world. As for the other nations which have descended from Adam, you have said that they are nothing, and that they are like spittle, and you have compared their abundance to a drop from a bucket. And now, O Lord, behold, these nations which are reputed as nothing domineer over us and devour us. But we, your people, whom you have called your firstborn, only begotten, zealous for you, and most dear, have been given into their hands. If the world has indeed been created for us, why do we not possess our world as an inheritance? How long will this be? And when I had finished speaking these words, the angel who had been sent to me on the former nights was sent to me again. And he said to me, Rise, Ezra, and listen to the words that I have come to speak to you. I said, Speak, my Lord. And he said to me, There is a sea set in a wide expanse, so that it is broad and vast, but it has an entrance set in a narrow place, so that it is like a river. If anyone then wishes to reach the sea, to look at it, or to navigate it, how can he come to the broad part unless he passes through the narrow part? Another example. There is a city built and set on a plain, and it is full of good things, but the entrance to it is very narrow, and set in precipitous place, so that there is fire on the right hand, and deep water on the left, and there is only one path lying between them, that is, between the fire and the water, so that only one man can walk upon that path. If now that city is given to a man in inheritance, how will the heir receive his inheritance, unless he passes through the danger set before him? I said, He cannot, Lord. And he said to me, So also is Israel's portion. For I made the world for their sake, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, what had been made was judged. And so the entrances of this world were made narrow, and sorrowful, and toilsome. They are few and evil, full of dangers, and involved in great hardships. But the entrances of the greater world are broad and safe, and really yield the fruit of immortality. Therefore, unless the living pass through the difficult and vain experiences, they can never receive those things that have been reserved for them. But now, why are you disturbed, seeing that you are to perish? And why are you moved, seeing that you are mortal? And why have you not considered in your mind what is to come, rather than what is now present? And I answered and I said, O sovereign Lord, behold, you have ordained your law that the righteous shall inherit these things, but that the ungodly should perish. The righteous, therefore, can endure difficult circumstances, while hoping for easier ones. But those who have done wickedly have suffered the difficult circumstances, and will not see the easier ones. He said to me, You are not a better judge than God, or wiser than the Most High. Let many perish who are now living, rather than that the law of God which is set before them be disregarded. For God strictly commanded those who came into the world when they came, that they should do to live, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. Nevertheless, they were not obedient, and spoke against him. They devised for themselves vain thoughts, and proposed to themselves wicked frauds. They even declared that the Most High did not exist, and they ignored his ways. They scorned his law, and denied his covenants. They have been unfaithful to his statutes, and they have not performed his works. Therefore, Ezra, empty things are for the empty, and full things are for the full. For behold, the time will come when the signs which I have foretold to you will come to pass. The city, which is now not seen at all, shall appear, and the land which now is hidden shall be disclosed, and everyone who has been delivered from the evils that I have foretold shall see my wonders. For my Son, the Messiah, shall be revealed with those who are with him, and those who remain shall rejoice 400 years, and after these years my Son, the Messiah, shall die, and all who draw human breath, and the world shall be turned back to primeval silence for 7 days, as it was at the first beginnings, so that no one shall be left. And after 7 days the world, which is not yet awake, shall be roused, and that which is corruptible shall perish. And the earth shall give up those who are asleep in it, and the chambers shall give up the souls which have been committed to them. And the Most High shall be revealed upon the seat of judgment, and compassion shall pass away, and patience shall be withdrawn. But judgment alone shall remain. Truth shall stand, and faithfulness shall grow strong, and recompense shall follow, and the reward shall be manifested. Righteous deeds shall awake, and unrighteous deeds shall not sleep. Then the pit of torment shall appear, and opposite it shall be the place of rest, and the furnace of hell shall be disclosed, and opposite the paradise of delight. Then the Most High will say to the nations that have been raised from the dead, Look now, and understand whom you have denied, whom you have not served, whose commandments you have despised. Look on this side and on that. Here are delight and rest, and there are fire and torments. Thus he will speak to them on the day of judgment, a day that has no sun, or moon, or stars, or cloud, or thunder, lightnings, wind, water, air, or darkness, even morning, or summer, or spring, heat or winter, or frost or cold, hail, rain, snow, dew, noon or night, dawn, shining or brightness of light, but only the splendor of the glory of the Most High, by which all shall see what has been determined for them, for it will last for about a week of years. This is my judgment and its prescribed order, and to you alone have I shown these things. I answered and I said, O sovereign Lord, I send then, and I say now, blessed are those who are alive and keep your commandments. But what of those for whom I prayed? For who among the living is there that has not sinned? Or who among men that has not transgressed your covenant? And now I see that the world to come will bring delight to few, but torments to many. For an evil heart has grown up in us all, which has alienated us from God, and has brought us into corruption and the ways of death, and has shown us paths of perdition, and removed us far from life. And not just a few of us, but almost all of us that have been created. And he answered me and said, Listen to me, Ezra, and I will instruct you, and will admonish you yet again. For this reason the Most High has made not one world, but two. For whereas you have said that the righteous are not many, but few, while the ungodly abound, hear this explanation for this. If you have just a few precious stones, will you add them to lead and clay? I said, Lord, how could that be? And he said to me, Not only that, but ask the earth, and she will tell you. Defer to her, and she will declare it to you. Say to her, You produce gold and silver and brass, and also iron and lead and clay. But silver is more abundant than gold, and brass more than silver, and iron more than brass, and lead more than iron, and clay more than lead. Judge therefore which things are precious and desirable, those that are abundant, or those that are rare. I said, O sovereign Lord, what is plentiful is of less worth, for what is more rare is more precious. He answered me and said, Weigh within yourself what you have thought. For he who has what is hard to get rejoices more than he who has what is plentiful. So also will be the judgment which I have promised. For I will rejoice over the few who shall be saved, because it is they who have made my glory to prevail now, and through them my name has been honored. And I will not grieve over the multitude of those who perish, for it is they who are now like a mist, and are similar to a flame of smoke, and they are set on fire, and they burn hotly, and then they are extinguished. I replied, and I said, O earth, what have you brought forth? If the mind is made out of dust, like the other created things, for it would have been better if the dust itself had not been born, so that the mind might not have been made from it. But now the mind grows with us, and therefore we are tormented because we perish and know it. Let the human race lament, but let the beasts of the field be glad. Let all who have been born lament, but let the four-footed beasts and the flocks rejoice. For it is much better with them than it is with us, for they do not look for a judgment, nor do they know of any torment of salvation promised to them after death. For what does it profit us that we shall be preserved alive, but cruelly tormented? For all who have been born are involved in iniquities, and all are full of sins and burdened with transgressions. And if we were not to come into judgment after death, perhaps it would have been better for us. He answered and said, When the Most High made the world and Adam, and all who have come from him, he first prepared the judgment and the things that pertain to the judgment. And now understand from your own words. For you have said that the mind grows with us. For this reason, therefore, those who dwell on the earth shall be tormented, because they have understanding, they committed iniquity. And though they received the commandments, they did not keep them. And though they obtained the law, they dealt unfaithfully with what they received. What then will they have to say in the judgment? Or how will they answer in the last times? For how long the time is that the Most High has been patient with those who inhabit the world, and not for their sake, but because the times of which he had foreordained. I answered and I said, I have found favor in your sight, my Lord. Show this also to your servant, whether after death, as soon as every one of us yields up his soul, that we shall keep in rest until those times come when you will renew the creation, or whether we shall be tormented at once. And he answered me and he said, I will show you that also, but do not be associated with those who have shown scorn, nor number yourself among those who are tormented, for you have a treasure of works laid up with the Most High. But it will not be shown to you until the last times. Now concerning death, the teaching is, when the decisive decree has gone forth from the Most High that a man shall die, as the spirit leaves the body to return again to him who gave it, first of all, it adores the glory of the Most High, And if it is one of those who have shown scorn and have not kept the way of the Most High, and who have despised his law, and who have hated those who fear God, such spirits shall never enter into habitations, but shall immediately wander about in torments, ever grieving and sad in 7 ways. The first way, because they have scorned the law of the Most High. The second way, because they cannot now make a good repentance, that they may live. The third, that they shall see the reward laid up for those who have trusted the covenants of the Most High. The fourth way, they shall consider the torment laid up for themselves in the last days. The fifth way, they shall see the habitations of the others are guarded by angels in profound quiet. The sixth way, they shall see how some of them will pass over into torments. The seventh way, which is worse than all the ways that have been mentioned, because they shall utterly waste away in the confusion and be consumed with shame, and shall wither with fear at seeing the glory of the Most High, before whom they sinned while they were alive, and before whom they are to be judged in the last times. Now, this is the order of those who have kept the ways of the Most High, when they shall be separated from their mortal body. During the time that they lived in it, they laboriously served the Most High, and withstood danger every hour, that they might keep the law of the lawgiver perfectly. Therefore this is the teaching concerning them. First of all, they shall see the great joy and glory of him who receives them, for they shall have rest in 7 orders. The first order, because they have striven with great effort to overcome the evil thought which was formed within them, that it might not lead them astray from life into death. The second order, because they see the perplexity in which the souls of the ungodly wander, and the punishment that awaits them. The third order, that they see the witness which he who formed them bears them concerning them, that while they were alive they kept the law which was given them in trust. The fourth order, that they ordain the rest which they now enjoy, being gathered into their chambers and guarded by angels in profound quiet, and the glory of which awaits them in the last days. The fifth order, they rejoice that they have now escaped what is mortal, and shall inherit what is to come. And besides, they see the traits and toil from which they have been delivered, and the spacious liberty of which they are to receive and enjoy in immortality. The sixth order, when it is shown to them how their face is to shine like the sun, and how they are to be made like the light of the stars, being incorruptible from then on. The seventh order, which is greater than all that have been mentioned before, because they have rejoiced with boldness, and shall be confident without confusion, and shall be glad without fear, for they hasten to behold the face of him whom they served in life, and from whom they are to receive their reward when glorified. This is the order of the souls of the righteous, as henceforth is announced. And the aforesaid are the ways of the torment, which those who could not give heed shall suffer hereafter. I answered, I said, well, time therefore be given to the souls after they have been separated from the bodies, to see what you have described to me. He said to me, they shall have freedom for 7 days, so that during these 7 days they may see the things of which you have been told, and afterward they shall be gathered in their habitations. I answered, and I said, if I have found favor in your sight, show further to me your servants, whether on the day of judgment the righteous will be able to intercede for the ungodly, or to entreat the Most High for them. Fathers for sons, or sons for parents, brothers for brothers, relatives for their kinsmen, or friends for those who are most dear. And he answered and said to me, since you have found favor in my sight, I will show you this also. The day of judgment is decisive, and it displays to all the seal of truth. Just as now a father does not send his son, or a son his father, or a master his servant, or a friend his dearest friend, to be ill or sleep, or eat or be healed in his stead, so no one shall ever pray for another on that day, neither shall anyone lay a burden on another. For then everyone shall be in his own righteousness or unrighteousness. I answered and I said, How then do we find that first Abraham prayed for the people of Sodom, and Moses for our fathers who sinned in the desert, and Joshua after him for Israel in the days of Achan, and Samuel in the days of Saul, and David for the plague, and Solomon for those in the sanctuary, and Elijah for those who received the rain, and for the one who was dead, that he might live, and Hezekiah for the people in the days of Sennacherib, and many others prayed for many. If therefore the righteous have prayed for the ungodly now, when corruption has increased and unrighteousness has multiplied, why will it not be so then as well? He answered me and he said, This present world is not the end. The full glory does not abide in it. Therefore those who were strong prayed for the weak. But the day of judgment will be the end of this age, and the beginning of the immortal age to come, in which corruption has completely passed away. Sinful indulgence has come to an end. Unbelief has been completely cut off, and righteousness has increased, and truth has appeared. Therefore no one will then be able to have mercy on him who has been condemned in the judgment, or to harm him who is victorious. I answered and I said, This is my first and last word. It would have been better if the earth had not produced Adam, or else, when it had produced him, had restrained him from sinning. For what good is it to all that they live in sorrow now and expect punishment after death? O Adam, what have you done? For though it was you who sinned, the fall was not yours alone, but ours. Ours also, who are your descendants. For what good is it to us, if an eternal age has been promised to us, but we have done deeds that bring death? And what good is it that an everlasting hope has been promised to us, but we have miserably failed? Or that safe and healthful habitations have been reserved for us, but we have lived wickedly? Or that the glory of the Most High will defend those who have led a pure life, but we have walked in the most wicked ways? Or that a paradise shall be revealed, whose fruit remains unspoiled, in which are abundance and healing, but we shall not enter it, because we have lived in unseemly places? Or that the faces of those who practice self-control shall shine more than the stars, but our faces shall be blacker than darkness? For while we lived and committed iniquity, we did not consider what we should suffer after death. He answered and said, This is the meaning of the contest, which every man who is born on earth shall wage, that if he is defeated, he shall suffer what you have said. But if he is victorious, he shall receive what I have said. For this is the way of which Moses, while he was alive, spoke to the people, saying, Choose for yourself life, that you may live. But they did not believe him, or the prophets after him, or even myself, who had spoken to them. Therefore there shall not be grief at their damnation, so much as joy over to those whom salvation is assured. I answered and I said, I know, my Lord, that the Most High is now called merciful, because he has mercy on those who have not yet come into the world, and gracious, because he is gracious to those who turn in repentance to his law, and patient, because he shows patience towards those who have sinned, since they are his own works, and bountiful, because he would rather give than take away, and abundant in compassion, because he makes his compassions abound more and more to those now living, and to those who are gone, and to those yet to come. For if he did not make them abound, the world with those who inhabit it would not have life. And he is called giver, because he did not give out of the goodness, so that those who have committed iniquities might be relieved of them. Not 1/10,000th of mankind could have lived. And judge, because if he did not pardon those who were created by his word, and blot out the multitude of their sins, there would probably be left only but a few of the innumerable multitude. And he answered me and said, The Most High made the world for the sake of many, but the world to come for the sake of but a few. But I will tell you a parable, Ezra, just as when you asked the earth, it will tell you that it provides very much clay from its earthenware is made, but only a little dust from which gold comes. So is the course of the present world. Many have been created, but few will be saved. Sounds like many have been called, but few have been chosen. Similar. Continuing. I answered and said, Then drink your fill of understanding, O my soul, and drink wisdom, O my heart. For not of your own will did you come into the world, and against your will you depart. For you have been given only a short time to live. O Lord, who art over us, grant to your servant that we may pray before you, and give us seed for our heart and cultivation of our understanding, so that fruit may be produced, by which every mortal who bears the likeness of a human being may be able to live. For you alone exist, and we are of your hands, as you have declared. And you, because you give life to the body which is now fashioned in the womb, and furnish it with members, that you have created it, preserved in fire and water, and for 9 months the womb that you have fashioned bears your creation which has been created in it. But that which keeps and that which is kept shall both be kept by your keeping. And when the womb gives up again what has been created in it, you have commanded that from the members themselves, that is, from the breasts, milk should be supplied, which is the fruit of the breasts, so that what has been fashioned may be nourished for a time, and afterwards you will guide him in your mercy. You have brought him up in your righteousness, and instructed him in your law, and reproved him in your wisdom. You will take away his life, for he is your creation, and you will make him live, for he is your work. If then you suddenly and quickly destroy him who with so great labor was fashioned by your command, to what purpose was he made? And now I will speak out. About mankind you know best. But I will speak about your people for whom I have grieved, and about your inheritance from whom I lament, about Israel, for whom I am sad, and about the seed of Jacob, for whom I am troubled. Therefore I will pray, because you, for myself and for them. For I see the failings of us who dwell in the land, and I have heard of the swiftness of the judgment that is to come. Therefore hear my voice and understand my words, and I will speak before you. The beginning of the work of Ezra's prayer, before he was taken up, he said, O Lord, who inhabits eternity, whose eyes are exalted, and whose upper chambers are in the air, whose throne is beyond measure, and whose glory is beyond comprehension, before whom the hosts of angels stand trembling, at whose command they are changed to wind and fire, whose word is sure, and whose utterances are certain, whose ordinance is strong, and whose command is terrible, whose look dries up the depths, and those indignations makes the mountains melt away, and whose truth is established forever. Hear, O Lord, the prayer of your servant, and give ear to the petition of your creature. Attend to my words, for as long as I live I will speak, and as long as I have understanding I will answer. O look not upon the sins of your people, but at those who have served you in truth. Regard not the endeavors of those who act wickedly, but the endeavors of those who have kept your covenants in amid afflictions. Think not on those who have lived wickedly in your sight, but remember those who have willingly acknowledged that you are to be feared. Let it not be your will to destroy those who have the ways of cattle, but regard those who have gloriously taught your law. Be not angry with those who are deemed worse than beasts, but love those who have always put their trust in your glory. For we, our fathers, have passed our lives in ways that bring death, but you, because of us sinners, are called merciful. For if you have destroyed to have pity on us, who have no works of righteousness, then you will be called merciful. For the righteous who have many works laid up with you shall receive the reward in consequence of their own deeds. But what is man that you are angry with him? Or what is a mortal race that you are so bitter against us? For in the truth there is no one among those who have been born who has not acted wickedly, and among those who have existed there is no one who has transgressed. For in this, O Lord, your righteousness and goodness will it be declared, when you are merciful to those who have no store of good works. He answered and said to me, Some things you have spoken rightly, and it will come to pass according to your words. For indeed I will not concern myself about the fashionings of those who have sinned, or about their death, their judgment, or their damnation. But I will rejoice over the creation of the righteous, over their pilgrimage also, and their salvation, and their receiving their reward. As you have spoken, therefore, so it shall be. For just as the farmer sows many seeds upon the ground, and plants a multitude of seedlings, and yet not all that have been sown will come up in due season, and not all that were planted will take root, so all those who have been sown in the world will not be saved. I answered and I said, If I have found favor before you, let me speak. For if the farmer's seed does not come up, because it has not received your rain in due season, or if it has been ruined by too much rain, it perishes. But man who has been formed by your hands is called your own image, because he made like you, and for whose sake you have formed all things. Have you also made him like the farmer's seed? No, O Lord, who are over us, but spare your people, and mercy on your inheritance, for you have mercy on your own creation. He answered and said to me, Things that are present are for those who live now, and things that are future are for those who will live hereafter. Sorry, lost my place. Where did I go? Oh, okay. Sorry, continuing. For you come far short of being able to love my creation more than I love it. But you have often compared yourself to the unrighteous. Never do so. But even in the respect you will be praiseworthy before the Most High, because you humble yourself, as is becoming for you, and have not deemed yourself to be among the righteous, in order to receive the greatest glory. For many miseries will affect those who inhabit the world in the last times, because they have walked in great pride. But think of your own case, and inquire concerning the glory of those who are like yourself, because it is for you that paradise is opened. The tree of life is planted, the age to come is prepared, plenty is provided, a city is built, rest is appointed, goodness is established, wisdom perfected beforehand. The root of evil is sealed up from you, illness is banished from you, and death is hidden. Hell has fled, and corruption has been forgotten. Sorrows have passed away, and in the end the treasure of immortality is made manifest. Therefore, do not ask any more questions about the multitude of those who perish. For they also received freedom, but they despised the Most High, and they were contemptuous of his law. They forsook his ways. Moreover, they have even trampled upon his righteous ones. And they said in their hearts that there is no God, though we know full well that they must die. For just as the things which I have predicted await you, so the thirst and torment which are prepared await them. For the Most High did not intend that men should be destroyed, but they themselves who were created have defiled the name of But they themselves who were created have defiled the name of him who made them, and have been ungrateful to him who prepared life for them. Therefore, my judgment is now drawing near, and I have not shown this to all men, but only to you and a few like you. And then I answered and I said, Behold, O Lord, you have not shown me a multitude of the signs of which you will do in the last times, but you have not shown me when you will do them. He answered me and he said, Measure carefully in your mind, and when you see that certain part of the predicted signs are past, then you will know that it is the very time when the Most High is about to visit the world which he has made. So when there shall appear in the world earthquakes, tumult of peoples, intrigues of nations, wavering of leaders, confusion of princes, then you will know it was of these that the Most High spoke of from the days that were of old, and from the beginning. For just as with everything that has occurred in the world, the beginning is evident, and the end is manifest. So also are the times of the Most High. The beginnings are manifest, and wonders and mighty works, and the end is requital and signs. And it shall be that everyone who will be saved, and will be able to escape on account of his works, or on account of the faith by which he has believed, will survive the dangers that have been predicted, and will see my salvation in my land and within my borders, which I have sanctified for myself from the beginning. Then those who have now abused my ways shall be amazed, and those who have rejected them with contempt shall dwell in torments. For as many as did not acknowledge me in their lifetime, although they received my benefits, and as many as scorned my law while they still had freedom, and did not understand but despised it, while an opportunity of repentance was still upon them, these must in torment acknowledge it after death. Therefore, do not continue to be curious as to how ungodly will be unpunished, but inquire how the righteous will be saved, those to whom the age belongs, and for those whose sake the age was made. I answered and I said before and I say now, and I will say it again, there are more who perish than those who will be saved, as a wave is greater than a drop of water. And he answered me and he said, as is the field, so is the seed, and as the flowers, so are the colors, and as the work, so is the product, and as the farmer, so is the threshing floor. For there was a time in this age when I was preparing for those who now exist, before the world was made for them to dwell in, and no one opposed me then, for no one existed. But now those who have been created in this world, which is supplied both with an unfailing table and inexhaustible pasture, have become corrupt in their ways. So I considered my world, and behold, it was lost, and my earth, and behold, it was in peril, because of the devices of those who had come into it. That's interesting. And I saw and spared some with great difficulty, and saved for myself one grape out of a cluster, and one plant out of a great forest. So let the multitude perish, which has been born in vain, but let my grape and my plant be saved, because with much labor I have perfected them. But if you will let 7 days more pass, and do not fast during them, however, but go into a field of flowers, where no house has been built, and eat only the flowers of the field, and taste no meat, and drink no wine, but eat only flowers, and pray to the Most High continually, then I will come and talk with you again.